All right, so the Ben Simmons saga continues. Um, I did a few videos on Ben Simmons, both my dislike of the fandom that praised his very limited basketball play. I've been saying for years, Ben Simmons is an incredibly limited basketball player. I remember watching him play against the Boston Celtics back when Jason Tatum was a rookie. Jaylen Brown, the year prior, was considered a bust because he didn't show any signs of being a great player, so people were calling him a bust. And Terry Rozier, the backup behind Kyrie Irving, finally got thrown into the starting lineup and played phenomenally. Al Horford was Al Horford, and the team was just rolling. They beat the Philadelphia 76ers in 5 games. Now, that year, I was disgusted by the Philadelphia 76ers because of the media. The media portrayed this team as a potential champion. Sorry, the wind is blowing. The wind is blowing a lot where I'm at. They were portraying this team as a potential NBA champion. When the question was posed, who can rival LeBron James in the East to take the title away from him of Eastern Conference champions or whatever, though the most common team that would pop up was the Philadelphia 76ers. The Philadelphia 76ers had all the pieces, apparently, to dethrone LeBron James. But they met a young Jason Tatum, a young Jaylen Brown, a relatively inexperienced Boston Celtics team, and they got ran off the floor. And the one game that they did win was because of T.J. McConnell. T.J. McConnell got thrown into the starting lineup, I believe. He caused all kinds of issues for Terry Rozier. I believe he was causing some issues for Marcus Smart. His energy, his ferocity threw them off guard, kind of got them leaning off the back of their heels a little bit. And once that effect died down in the 5th game, Boston took them out. Ben Simmons even had a game in that series where he scored 1 point. 1 point. You're talking about a guy who routinely plays out of position at the point guard position when he's really a power forward or a small forward, depending on where you want to throw him. He's a forward. And he was playing point guard. He's 6'10". He can move like a guard of sorts. So they threw him in at point guard. And you mean to tell me this dude can't back down a guy that's about 6 inches shorter than he is? And that's at the very least. 6 inches shorter than he is. He can't back him down into the post and finish at the rim? All he could muster was 1 point? Ben Simmons was always overrated to me. Even when he was going to all-star games and he was on all-NBA teams or all-NBA defensive teams or whatever, he was always overrated to me. And it was only a matter of time until the league figured out that this kid was not as good as advertised. He's not even rookie of the year. I define a rookie as a player who in their first year in the NBA wins the award, not a person who didn't play a game their first year, but then they finally got to play their second year. You are then disqualified from rookie status. You're not. They changed that rule because they wanted to give Blake Griffin the award. I believe that another player won it under those same circumstances, and Ben Simmons won it under those circumstances. Donovan Mitchell is the rightful rookie of the year of that season. But because Ben Simmons didn't play his actual rookie season because he was injured, which it's not fair to the other rookies that didn't have a full year with an organization taking advantage of professional facilities, weight training, actually dealing with professional athlete style trainers that help, with the conditioning, with the recovery, stuff like that. I'm not saying college basketball teams don't have access to these things, but if you told me that most colleges don't have access to these kind of resources, I wouldn't be surprised. But unless you're like a Duke or North Carolina, one of those elite programs, I'm pretty sure that you don't have the money to be paying a top-notch physical trainer to make sure that your team is in the best shape possible. So Donovan Mitchell coming in, I believe he played for Louisville. I don't want to guess. Him coming in from college, okay. I mean, he had a phenomenal season, but because Ben Simmons was considered a rookie, and he had statistically an even more impressive season, they gave him the award. Now, over the past few years, I've been saying Ben Simmons is suffering from some serious mental issues. And what did those mental issues, in my opinion, stem from? The media, the fan base. Everybody started to turn on him. The same people that wanted to praise him and talk about how great he is and call him a superstar were at his throat, ready to rip his larynx out. Like, they were ready. They were coming for him. It was all war on Ben Simmons, and he couldn't handle it. The same people that loved him when he was doing those very mediocre things hated him because he kept doing those same mediocre things. Now, I'm not saying this dude isn't probably a nice person, or, he doesn't have a close relationship with his family or have friends that he likes and he's a really easygoing guy. I'm not saying that. I'm saying Ben Simmons, from a casual basketball fan's perspective of what I saw, he was an average basketball player. I'm not saying some of the things he can do wasn't phenomenal. I'm saying the overall total package was average. In a league where shooting is heavily promoted, now every position is required to shoot if you want to see minutes on the floor. This dude made a name for himself being a non-shooter, but because he could pass and rebound at a high level and defend undersized players at a high level, people were willing to look past that. But because it cost Philly a game in the playoffs, now people aren't looking past it anymore. Now he's getting thrown to the wolves. And this is the thing about fame. This is the thing about popularity. This is the thing about judging yourself based on the opinions of people that you don't even know, is that as quickly as they'll love you, they'll turn on you just as quickly, and you'll become a pariah. And what is Ben Simmons right now? He is arguably the most hated basketball player next to James Harden in the NBA. They hate this dude. They hate him. They hate him. With every fiber of their being, they hate him. And do I think it's fair? Yes. Because I don't think Ben Simmons had a problem with these people or had a problem with such a watchful eye when people were praising him for his ability to do multiple things. All right? People loved him, and he loved that. He loved the attention. And what happened when that stopped being a thing? Now he doesn't like it so much. And I don't feel bad for him. So let's get to the video, man. I just spent 8 minutes railing Ben Simmons again. All right, so they're going to talk about Ben Simmons getting surgery after the season was over, which, in my opinion, even though Ben Simmons got traded, he should have shut his season down. Explain to the Brooklyn Nets, look, y'all got me for a few more years. I'm going to shut this season down. I'm going to get surgery, so that way I am well ahead of schedule by the time training camp comes around, and there are no excuses. But him getting surgery now in a few months, which they're estimating 3 or 4 months, in a few months when training camp starts, he may still have lingering issues from the surgery or lingering effects from the surgery. It happens. Look at Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott got surgery, I think, somewhere in the middle of the season. He got to training camp the very next season, and I believe that he had a setback or something. Like, something happened during OTAs, and he had some kind of a setback. So these things happen. And Ben should have done this probably a month or two ago. Started the surgery, shut yourself down for the season, and then once OTAs comes, there's no excuses of why you can't perform. I'm starting to think that he's already got a built-in excuse if he doesn't play well. If he doesn't perform at the highest level possible, he already has a built-in excuse. Well, I am coming off of back surgery, so I just need some time to let the game come back to me. So I'm already preparing myself for it.
Ben Simmons. He's going to require 3 to 4 months of rehab after undergoing back surgery for pain in a herniated disc. Remember, Simmons never played for Brooklyn after being acquired in a trade for James Harden this spring. But sources expect him to be ready, fully recovered for training camp in the fall. Shannon, break this down.
Let me say this. This is the only way that this experiment with Ben Simmons is going to work with KD and Kyrie. This is the only way it's going to work, right? Ben has to go back to his old ways. He's going to have to go back to mainly a facilitator, a high defensive guy. He's going to have to go back to a defensive mindset with the job on offense to facilitate. Get your points here and there when you see advantages, back the point guard down at the rim, and when the defense starts to collapse on you because you're taking advantage of that mismatch, you kick it out to KD, Kyrie, or any of the other shooters that they're going to have out there. That's the only way this is going to work. They have to go with that plan. That has to be the plan. Is very low risk. Is already what Ben Simmons knows to do. Right now, he's going through a serious mental hiccup. It's a mental thing. It's a mental. I'm not saying he's not hurt. He might not be hurt. The injury might just be a red herring, a Trojan horse to kind of lead people down this narrative pathway and away from his mental afflictions. But I think this is all mental. I didn't hear nothing about him being injured last season when he was going through that rough patch in the playoffs. As far as I'm concerned, Ben Simmons hasn't been hurt, seriously hurt, since his rookie season. He's played pretty much most games every single season. He's been the same player every single season. So now all of a sudden, now that he's struggling, he's having issues with his body. Okay. But I'm not saying that. Now, if he is injured, okay, the best way for him to come back and get himself back into the flow of things is to go back to the way he was playing before. But this time, he has to go in with the mindset, if you're going to score, you got to be aggressive in the paint. So I think he's quick enough that actual power forwards that he should be defending and he should be playing against or matched up against, I think that he can use his speed advantage to take advantage of those matchups. So there's nothing stopping Ben Simmons from averaging 20 points a game just basically in the paint. But Ben Simmons is the reason why he can't do it. So if he could get past that, I think he'll be fine.
Of course. What do you think all this means?
Two things can be true. He was dealing with something mentally. He was dealing with something physically. Skip, how the hell they expect the man to play last week when he's having back surgery this week?
What was that all about?
Thank you. Was
that just coming from the team?
The team.
And this is what makes me think this injury thing is potentially a lie. Because I'm pretty sure the Brooklyn Nets wouldn't have announced, hey, Ben is going to return by this game if they didn't have it on good authority. I don't think, why would you trade for a player? Okay? Why would you trade for a player and then force his hand, knowing that he's dealing with some mental issues? Why would you trade for a player just to cause even more distress to him by saying, oh, he's going to play in this game? Once they lost game 3, I believe, I think game 4 was when he was supposed to come back. Once they, or game 3, one or the other. Once they lost game 3, there was no chance this dude was coming back. They were just going to try to see how the series played out. If Brooklyn would have found a way to beat Boston, I think they would have tried to work him into the lineup going up against Milwaukee. But since Brooklyn already lost 3 games, I think they just said, you know what, forget it, let's just shut it down. So, yeah, it doesn't make any sense that they wanted to throw him into the game, and now he's having surgery after the season is over. Now he's having surgery. If he was that injured, I mean, this is what I'm saying. He should have shut himself down months ago. Told the Brooklyn Nets, I'll be ready next year. Let me just get this done. Shut that down. I don't think the Brooklyn Nets will go out. They're already having so many PR issues right now surrounding the organization and their failure to even get out of the first round. And bad enough they got swept. I don't think that they would want to add to that by forcing the player that they just traded for to play when he wasn't ready, he was injured. It would cause all kinds of issues with them image-wise. I don't think they would do it. But that's just me thinking about it.
But pressure, yes. put pressure on him. Because there's no possible way this man could have played a game if he's going to have back surgery a week later. No possible way. It's like, oh yeah, he's shown improvement. Yeah, game 3 or 4 stop. He needs to get right mentally, because I believe that physically will the back surgery skill will alleviate a lot of the pain.
Yep.
Physically. But it doesn't matter how healthy his back is. It doesn't matter about anything else other than this. Once he gets...
And in a previous video I did months ago, I said Ben Simmons needs to do one thing. He has to stop listening to everybody. Even the people that's closest to him. No more taking in advice. No more listening to what people think about you. Ignore it. Drown it out. Drown it out. Stop watching SportsCenter. Stop watching FS1. Stop watching everything. Just drown that shit out and go right back to trying to find a way to get back to a safe place in your mind where you feel like, all right, I think I can do this. The problem with this is, and this I said this a long time ago, man, the problem with giving these young players so much praise, look at Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is the perfect example of giving somebody praise for something that they have yet to earn. Jimmy Garoppolo never earned anything in his career. Like, I'm talking any of the praise that he got, the contract he got, he didn't earn any of that. And now that it's time for him to live up to it, he's failing. They should have had a Super Bowl. They should have beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And this is why I think the Chiefs are overrated. They should have lost that Super Bowl. And if the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers was any indication, they really should have lost that game. But San Fran's inability to close that game out and Jimmy Garoppolo's inability to finish that team off. To be honest, they shouldn't have made it to that second Super Bowl. No. The first, was it the first? No, it was the second one because they played Buffalo in the championship game. Cleveland should have won that game. Cleveland was right there. It seems like Kansas City in the playoffs was getting lucky. Very, very lucky. Very lucky. I mean, they even lost to the Cincinnati Bengals. The Kansas City was getting very lucky, and it's just like sometimes their luck paid off, sometimes it just didn't. So, where was I going with that? I was going somewhere with that. Crap, I done lost my train of thought. I was going somewhere with that. Sorry, it happens. But he has to drown out the noise. He has to let go of a lot of the criticism that's being said against him. I think that, I don't know, man. Therapy is the only thing I can think of that can help this kid right now. Not some sports psychologist. He needs to talk to an actual therapist. Oh, I knew where I was going. All right, I was talking about San Fran, Jimmy Garoppolo, but Jimmy Garoppolo is an example of why heaping praise onto a young player before they've done anything to earn that is detrimental to the mindset of the young player because they think they have arrived. They don't think that they still have something to work towards. They think that they're already there. Look at Patrick Mahomes, right? Patrick Mahomes was called the baby goat and all this stuff. He was damn near set records his first year starting. And what happened? The league caught up to him. They figured out what he likes to do. They figured out what his habits, his tendencies are, and the league started to really show, okay, Patrick is a great quarterback, but he's not all-time great. Not yet, at least. So I think that's the problem with Ben Simmons is I think a lot of the praise that he was getting being a young kid coming out of college, him and Embiid, coming out of college, they were called superstars. Before they played like a minute of playoff basketball together, they were called superstars. How are you not going to think you've arrived when you got people that love you so much and picking you to beat the arguably the best player in the NBA at that time? So, let's go.
That right, get his mindset. So, you know what? I'm going to attack this rehab process. I'm going to come back better, stronger, faster than I was. I'm going to work on my shot. I'm going to work on my game, get back in that space. He'll be fine. But this notion that, Ben's just weak. No. Trust me. Skip, back surgery is the last resort. Normally, people, they try to give you, okay, let's try rehab, let's try physical therapy, let's see how that works out, and we can go from there. We'll check back with you in a week or two. When people start having surgery, that's the last result.
I agree.
So for this man
And it often doesn't work out. Go ahead.
And you know how backs are. I don't know if anybody...
And that's if, okay? That's if he's getting surgery. Again, I'm not saying that he's not hurt. I'm not saying the surgery's not going to happen. All I'm saying is right now it's just speculation. You know, it's just hearsay until there's some concrete proof that he actually got surgery. And the only way to actually know is if you're in the room watching the surgery happen. Other than that, it's clear. It's just basic hearsay. You know, I don't know if he's hurt. I think the injury is just a tool being used to shift the narrative. Oh, Ben's not playing because there's something wrong with him up top. It's his back that's the problem, and you know they're shifting the narrative.
Never had a bad back. I've had a bad back. Had a couple of times. I've had a wife had to get epidurals.
Likewise.
If he had a herniated disc, there was no possible way. I don't care. Nobody's playing with no herniated disc in their back.
And let me say this, man. I've actually had debates with people that said that the NFL is the most physically demanding sport in the world. But I got to tell you, man, soccer, basketball, these sports where you're constantly standing 24/7, or baseball, you're playing 162 games, and that's if your team doesn't make the playoffs, which is another 14. That's another 20 games right there. That's if you do a wild card as well. I'm just trying to give the most games played in the. So that's another 20 games. So that's almost 200 games in a season to 16. And sure, I mean, getting hit by a grown ass man that's flying at you like a bullet, it was rough. But imagine playing an 82 game schedule where you're constantly falling, you're constantly, hitting your head. You're constantly, banging some kind of extremity off the floor. You're bumping bodies and you're getting hit with elbows and you're getting grabbed out of the air and all types of. There's so much physical contact going on in the NBA. If Ben Simmons had a bad back, there's no way he could have been able to play as long as he was playing. Like, if it's that bad that he has to get surgery for it, man, like, we would have saw the signs of it before things started going downhill. And I don't think that anybody noticed this. It might have been talk here and there, but, I mean, it's hard to play. It's hard to play football with a bad back. Imagine standing 24/7, like, practice, games, traveling. And you got a bad back, man. And you didn't get surgery for this years. Like, let's just say if this was last year when he was in Philly. You didn't get it last year? You didn't shut your season down to get surgery last year? Come on, man. It doesn't seem likely.
For no game of basketball. Because it requires you to be in a chair, to move side to side. And when you got that bad back, man, you still for the fence post. So I believe Ben had a lot of things going on. Hopefully, this will alleviate the physical, but Skip, we still got to get past that mental part.
Please, I really want a strong light dragon.
First question is, how exactly did he herniate a disc? He's not even been playing basketball for a year. I don't know what happened. Was he lifting weight wrong or something? Or
this is why I'm saying I think this is fake. Is the narrative shift. That's it. I don't think this is actually an injury at all. I think this is more of his mental thing, and he just needed this offseason to get his mind right. I wouldn't be surprised if the Brooklyn Nets demanded he go to therapy and work this out. I would not be surprised.
Picked up something at home. Sometimes you can pick up your dog wrong, and that's the end of that. Okay. When I first heard this news, I was pretty surprised by it. But it was a hopeful development to me because it did indicate there was some issue that was actually going on, because
People thought the man was faking.
Well, there was a story a week ago that indicated that even he had indicated to the Nets in a private meeting that the mental issue was triggering the back issue.
Right.
Well, that's called psychosomatic,
Right.
where your mental problem, your issues are actually manifesting themselves in some sort of physical injury that isn't really there.
Right.
It's triggering
Right.
pain that really doesn't exist.
Right.
Well, this exists. If you got a microdiscectomy, Tiger's had a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's no fun. It's no small thing, but they've gotten so good at it that they can usually go in. It's got a bump in it. It's like a tire with a bump in it,
Yeah.
and you got to puncture the bump and smooth
Shave
it
it down.
off so that it's not hitting into your nerves
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes this surgery, most of the time, I would say, can be moderately
Yeah.
successful. Moderately
If
successful.
sometimes them backs, man, that thing have that pain going down your leg get numb.
Into your
You can't
feet.
sit. Yeah, you can't sit down. You
No.
can't stand up. There is no position that's comfortable.
You can't stand it. You just can't stand
Yes.
it. It's horrendous.
Yes.
It's the worst pain on earth to me. I guess teeth pain can be pretty bad.
Yeah, that
Okay.
toothache.
All right. The point is, hopefully for him, if he gets the back fixed, it will help him fix the mental. And yet, in the end, it's all about the mental, and I can't even speak to it because I have no idea what's going on with
Right.
the mental.
Right.
But at least because he's only 25 years of age, and I keep saying he's 25 going on 23 because he just hasn't played a lot of basketball. He missed
True.
his first year, and now he's missed a whole another year.
Right.
He's still only 25.
Correct.
He's a fairly fresh 25.
Right.
I still like the Nets' chances of winning this trade more than the Sixers' chances because once again last night, we watched or tried to watch James Harden hide from pressure, hide from the basketball, and he took 15 shots, which was up a little bit from the first game. And he did score 20 points, but if you look at the fourth quarter box, when they had a chance to make a run, he was 0 for 3 in the fourth quarter and scored 2 points.
Yeah.
Well, my biggest takeaway from watching James Harden last night was Tyrese Maxey. If I hadn't known better, I would say
He's the best
Maxey.
player.
All right, well, they're going in on James Harden. Like I said, man, right now Ben Simmons might be the most hated basketball player next to James Harden because people are really not liking James Harden right now. But all right, so that's it, man. Like I'm pretty much touching on something that I've already touched on, and I hope this kid can get past this. I hope he can find a way to improve his game. Before he was traded, I said the best possible landing spots for him would have been Brooklyn, Golden State, somewhere where he can just be a facilitator and set up the shooters. He got moved to Brooklyn, and I think if Steve Nash is any sort of the head coach that I think he could be, especially in an offensive-driven league now, I think that he will know the best way possible to utilize a facilitator like Ben Simmons. Shoot, maybe he could teach him how to shoot. I don't know. Some people claim that Ben knows how to shoot. He just doesn't. And if that's the case, it could be, I don't know what it is with players going to Philadelphia. Markelle Fultz, known as Noel, Jahlil Okafor. But players tend to not play well there and then go to other places and find themselves. Even if it's at a lower position than people assume they would be, they tend to find themselves as a basketball player going to other places. But maybe it's just the player development system that they have there that is just ruining these players. I don't know what it is, but that's it, man. All right.